USS Cyclops. America's greatest vanishing, the deep-sea mystery no one can explain. In the early months of 1980, as the world was consumed by the fires of the First World War, the Atlantic Ocean had become both a lifeline and a graveyard. Merchant ships crossed its vast waters daily, carrying fuel, weapons, and raw materials essential for survival. German U-boats prowled beneath the waves. Storms rose without warning, and navigation remained a dangerous art rather than a precise science. It was in this tense and uncertain era that a massive U.S. Navy vessel named USS Cyclops began a journey from which it would never return. USS Cyclops was not a warship in the traditional sense. It carried no heavy guns, no torpedoes, and no reputation for glory in battle. Instead, it belonged to the Proteus-class cargo ships designed to transport enormous quantities of raw materials. Measuring over 540 feet long, Cyclops was one of the largest ships in the U.S. Navy at the time, powered by twin engines and capable of carrying more than 10,000 tons of cargo. Its mission was simple but vital: move strategic materials across the ocean to support the war effort. By February 1918, Cyclops was loaded with manganese ore, a metal critical for strengthening steel used in weapons and armor. The ship had departed from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, bound for Baltimore, Maryland, with a scheduled stop in Barbados. On board were 309 souls: officers, crew members, and civilian passengers, fathers, sons, brothers, men who trusted the steel beneath their feet and the ocean around them. Yet from the very beginning, this voyage carried an uneasy weight. Cyclops was known among sailors as a problematic ship. Reports had surfaced of engine trouble, structural stress, and uneven loading. Some crew members privately worried that the vessel was being pushed beyond its safe limits. The manganese ore, extremely heavy, had been loaded in a way that may have strained the ship's long, narrow hull. But wartime urgency left little room for caution. Orders were orders, and the ship sailed. On March 3, 1918, USS Cyclops departed Barbados. That was the last confirmed sighting of the ship. No distress call was received, no emergency signal was transmitted. No message, warning, or explanation followed. It was as if the Cyclops had simply vanished into the sea. Days passed, then weeks. When Cyclops failed to arrive in Baltimore, concern grew rapidly into alarm. The U.S. Navy launched one of the largest search operations in its history. Ships scoured the Atlantic. Aircraft flew patterns over endless blue water. Coastlines were inspected for debris, oil slicks, or survivors. They found nothing, no wreckage, no lifeboats, no bodies, not a single trace. For the families waiting at home, the silence was unbearable. In an era when shipwrecks almost always left debris or survivors, the complete disappearance of a vessel this large defied logic. Naval investigators were left with questions they could not answer. How could a ship carrying more than 300 men vanish without a single clue? As the weeks turned into months, speculation began to grow. Some blamed German submarines, yet no enemy records supported the claim. Others pointed to storms, though no severe weather had been reported along Cyclops' route. Slowly, a more unsettling idea began to take shape, one that would later capture the imagination of the world. USS Cyclops had vanished in a region that would one day become infamous, a region later known as the Bermuda Triangle. And as investigators stared at empty charts and unanswered questions, the ocean kept its silence, a silence that suggested this mystery was only beginning. As the shock of the USS Cyclops' disappearance settled into grim reality, the U.S. Navy was forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. This was not a conventional loss. Ships were sunk during war. Storms destroyed vessels. Submarines struck without mercy. But none of those explanations fully fit the facts surrounding Cyclops. The absence of evidence became the heart of the mystery. Naval engineers began their analysis with the most logical explanation: structural failure. USS Cyclops was unusually long for its design, and some experts had warned that its hull lacked sufficient reinforcement. When heavily loaded, especially with dense cargo like manganese ore, the ship could experience severe internal stress. If the cargo shifted during rough seas, it might cause the vessel to crack or even break apart. But here, another question emerged. If Cyclops had broken apart, where was the wreckage? Even ships that sank rapidly usually left floating debris. Wood, lifeboats, cargo remnants, something should have surfaced. Yet the Atlantic offered nothing. Not even a trace of oil. Attention then turned to weather conditions. While no major storms were officially recorded, The Atlantic is known for sudden, violent squalls. A rogue wave, towering, powerful, and unpredictable, could potentially overwhelm even a massive vessel. But once again, such a disaster would likely leave signs. Then came the theory that captured the public imagination: enemy action. World War I was at its height. German U-boats had already sunk dozens of Allied ships. Could Cyclops have been torpedoed? Naval records were examined. German logs were reviewed. No submarine claimed responsibility. No explosions were reported. No survivors spoke of an attack. The theory faded, unsupported by evidence. And so, as rational explanations failed one by one, the mystery slipped into darker waters. Writers and researchers began to notice a pattern. Other ships and aircraft had reportedly disappeared in the same general region of the Atlantic, an area roughly bounded by Florida, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. Decades later, this region would gain a name that sent shivers through popular culture: the Bermuda Triangle. Stories emerged of malfunctioning compasses, strange lights in the sky, and ships losing radio contact before vanishing. Some suggested magnetic anomalies that could disrupt navigation systems. Others spoke of powerful underwater currents, capable of pulling wreckage into deep ocean trenches, hiding evidence forever. More extreme theories followed. Some claimed Cyclops had encountered a time distortion, slipping into another dimension. Others suggested the presence of unknown natural forces, or even non-human intelligence, lurking beneath the waves. These ideas lacked scientific proof, yet they persisted, fueled by one undeniable fact: Cyclops was never found. Even more unsettling was what came next. USS Cyclops had sister ships, nearly identical vessels built from the same design. In the years that followed, two of them would also vanish under mysterious circumstances. USS Proteus disappeared in 1941. USS Nereus vanished shortly after. Three ships, same design, same ocean, same silence. At this point, the mystery was no longer about one ship. It was about something larger, something systemic, hidden, and terrifying. Was the ocean itself responsible? Or had humanity underestimated forces it barely understood? As decades passed, technology advanced. Sonar mapping revealed vast underwater mountains and trenches. The Atlantic floor was no longer an abstract concept. It was a complex, violent landscape. Some researchers proposed that Cyclops may lie buried under layers of sediment, crushed by pressure, hidden forever in depths exceeding 15,000 feet. Yet even today, with satellites and deep-sea drones, the final resting place of USS Cyclops remains unknown. And the question echoes across time: did Cyclops sink, or was it taken? To understand what may have happened to USS Cyclops, one must understand the sea itself. Not the calm blue surface seen from above, but the violent, shifting world beneath. The Atlantic Ocean is not empty. It is a realm of immense pressure, powerful currents, and geological forces capable of erasing entire ships without a trace. If Cyclops went down, it likely rests somewhere along the deep Atlantic basin, possibly near the edge of the Puerto Rico Trench, the deepest point in the Atlantic Ocean. This trench plunges over 27,000 feet. Deeper than Mount Everest is tall. Anything that sinks into such depths becomes almost impossible to recover. In these extreme conditions, steel collapses. Hulls implode. Evidence disappears. Modern oceanographers suggest that powerful underwater currents could have dragged debris far from the sinking point, scattering or burying it beneath sediment. Volcanic activity and shifting tectonic plates may further distort the seabed over time, hiding wrecks permanently. But Cyclops' mystery remains unique. Other deep-sea wrecks have been found: the Titanic, Bismarck, and countless others. Yet Cyclops, despite extensive searches, remains lost. This absence keeps the mystery alive. Some historians now believe the most plausible explanation lies in a combination of factors: structural weakness, heavy cargo, rough seas, and poor design. Together, these elements may have caused a catastrophic failure so sudden that no distress signal could be sent. A ship splitting in half, men thrown into darkness. The ocean closing instantly. No time, no warning. Still, the lack of wreckage challenges even this explanation. The truth may be that USS Cyclops rests in a place humanity has not yet reached, a silent tomb guarded by pressure, darkness, and time. A place where sunlight never penetrates, and where history sleeps undisturbed. For the families of the 309 lost souls, the ocean never returned what it took. And perhaps it never will. More than a century has passed since USS Cyclops disappeared, yet its story remains one of the greatest unsolved maritime mysteries in American history. No official conclusion has ever been reached. No wreck has been confirmed. No definitive explanation accepted. Cyclops became more than a ship. It became a symbol, a reminder that despite all our technology, the sea remains unconquered. That beneath the waves lie forces beyond prediction and control, that history can vanish without leaving a footprint. Today, the name USS Cyclops is spoken alongside legends, the Bermuda Triangle, ghost ships, and deep-sea anomalies. But behind the mystery lies a human tragedy. 309 lives lost, remembered only through records and unanswered questions. Perhaps one day, deep-sea exploration will uncover its resting place. Perhaps a sonar image will reveal twisted steel in the darkness. Or perhaps the ocean will keep its secret forever, because some mysteries are not meant to be solved. And somewhere, far beneath the Atlantic waves, the USS Cyclops may still rest, silent, unseen, and unexplained.